One thing that was interesting reading about in your book was your early training. I think the thing that stood out to me about it is like, that was a really smart approach. Like you were, prioritizing hard bouldering, even though you wanted to climb hard routes, and then following it by these long circuits and kind of spray wall style, and that's where a lot of hard training started, but I feel like it went out of vogue for a while and has had to come back. And now people have like rediscovered the value of like the simplicity of a spray wall. I wanted to ask you, where did that come from? Because it seems like you were doing a lot of things right in an era where there wasn't a lot of information. So I wanted to know where it came from, and then has it changed much over time?
Well, a great question. A few things come to my mind. Like our gym only had maybe 14 foot wide and like maybe 10 foot tall bouldering area. And so we had these tall walls. It was kind of like a grain mill. And so we had like 40-foot walls, but a lot of them were vertical, or they would try to build some like little mini undulation thing that ended on a slab. And then we had one big roof that we would set roots on, but we never had enough holds. We'd always set like maybe a 12. I actually tried to set up a couple 513s with like my own wooden holds and stuff that I would project. But generally, most of the climbing took place on this little bouldering wall, which was effectively just a giant spray wall that we didn't have, like there was no volumes. We did like, I remember getting like the first pusher, like a sloper, the font pusher thing. We got one of those and it took up like, 5% of the whole wall. What was the boss? The pusher? Was it the pusher boss? Yeah. But up until then, it was like all these little smaller Metolius holds and some wooden edges and things like that. And we didn't change it that often. And so it became like, if we wanted to try harder, like it was the only thing we had. It wasn't like a commercial gym like today. It was basically like a home woody. But there was like 5 or 6 of us that just loved to show up 4 days a week and just hammer on that thing for 3 hours because we had nothing else to do. It was the middle of winter in Ontario and it was fun. And we got to play music as loud as we want. The grunge rock scene was alive and well. And it was just invigorating. Like, I just love being around that energy. It was just like a bunch of really psyched people trying to do some fun stuff. And I think where like the kind of the approach came from was like reading a lot about Yuji Harayama. The Huber brothers were training for 514. Apparently they did a 15A. Open air was like one of those routes at the Wasserfall was like 15A, but he didn't, this is like in the 90s, but he called it 14D and Adam Ondra upgraded it. But those guys would write these little articles about how they were training.
In magazines?
Yeah, in magazines. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like how like Francois Legrand would do 300 513 moves a session. Like he would count how many moves he was doing. And so I'm like, okay, well, if I want to climb 14A or B or C, like I need to work up to that. And so if you think of a boulder problem like V5, V6, V7 being, like he was doing like hundreds of movements. And then I would also take a little bit of Ben Moon and Jerry Moffat and what they were doing in the schoolroom. And so I kind of took all 3 of those and we kind of mixed matched how to approach it. And we were teenagers, so we could climb 5 days a week and not completely destroy ourselves. Although there were days where I'd go to school and I like putting my backpack on, like I felt like my shoulder was falling off. And then by like dinner time, I was like fine again. And you're like, 16, 17 years old and you go and you warm up and you're like, oh, I feel good again. And you could do that 5 days a week and just punish yourself. And there's no way I could do that today. There's just no way. So now I'm learning how to train differently, and yet still effectively. But yeah, so that's kind of the influence, is like the apparatus that we had to work with, and then the information that we had and who was doing what and how they would approach. I don't think Ben Moon was approaching it the same way that Francois Legrand needed to win World Cups, because Ben was more of a boulderer doing like shorter, harder, more powerful stuff.
Yep.
And then Hubers were kind of also sport climbers and alpinists. So they had a slightly different approach. But I mean, a lot of the concepts are the same. And then I just wanted to touch on like what I'm noticing actually is that I think like volume climbing is getting kind of a bad reputation in modern climbing. Like, and I think that people are
not climbing on volumes, but climbing a lot. You mean just climbing a lot?
No, sorry. Volume climbing in terms of like a lot of mileage.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I think a lot of the theory now is like less reps, but like higher intensity, stronger. And I think that's great. Like, of course, that works. I think that people are also like not. I think it gets a bad reputation because I think it's not necessarily high volume. I think it's like stamina focused. Because what I'm seeing in my life is a lot of like really strong people who are like V7 or V8 boulderers, but they're like projecting 12A or 11D. It's just not what I saw in my sphere of friends in the late 90s or early 2000s. Like, I felt like the bouldering level and the technical route climbing level were more in line.
Yeah, a V7, V8 climber could climb 13A, 13B. Yeah.
Yeah, or 13C, V9, 13D, V10. I felt like that was very much, and I feel like now, especially with bouldering indoors being such a upper body dominant thing, I feel like that you can get to V8 fairly quickly and yet still struggle on putting together a 12A technical route at Smith Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm seeing this like discrepancy, and I think that the middle road of strength and stamina together, I don't think that's getting enough coverage or attention in climbing for the bell curve, the general public, you know?
Yeah.
So the trend is to go towards low reps, high intensity. And I think that middle ground is kind of missing. And when I look at my heroes, like, you know, Yuji Hariyama, like, he was the master of stamina. Like, he had the world's first 14B flash, right? Like, you can't really do that without a high level of stamina. And to me, that sustainability is like, I think that's fun. I like that. So yeah, that's a little bit of a tangent, but that's like an observation that I'm noticing. And I don't know if other people are noticing that or not, but it's something that I'm seeing.
Yeah. I love it. I mean, yeah, we're all strength obsessed for sure. A quote that really popped out to me talking to Yves Gravel. You know, Yves Gravel, the Canadian super strong dude, V15 boulderer, multi-world champion, arm lifting guy. Great guy. But yeah, he said, lazy athletes get strong. Like, of all the athletes that he meets, the ones that are just stupid strong tend to be the lazier ones. And most climbers do too much. You know, we have a lot of junk mileage in our training. And I love that. And I kind of latched onto it. But the other side of the coin is that overachievers get really fit. You know, the people that are willing to just grind out tons of miles, those are the people that get really fit. And if you want to climb hard sport routes, you need both. If you found this video useful, I put together a free masterclass on how to unlock your full potential in climbing, where I share some of the best nuggets I've learned from interviewing the best climbers in the world. It's for any climber who wants to improve, and it'll help you take your climbing to the next level. Link in the description below, or you can click right here to watch it right now.